Hey, how you doing? So let me tell you what I'm working on here. A little bit of an experiment. We've really kind of trying to dial in our coffee process here. And you know, the big question is, do you go with pre-ground coffee or do you fresh grind your coffee, right? So really want to get to the bottom of that. And so what I've done is I've created a perfect test environment. You see I've got my two French presses here that are preheating with water because I want to make sure that when I brew that we have the right temperature inside the pot. What I'm doing here is I've got my 2 pitchers of water, which I'm preheating because you want to get them about 202 degrees. It's about the right temperature. And I'm doing that through a variety of processes. This one here, this pot is kind of nice because it actually, you can set the temperature that you want the pot to be, that you want the water to be, and it will heat it exactly to that temperature. And this one here, this is a little bit of an older model, a little bit more guesswork. What you have to do is you have to kind of heat it up to boiling and then you kind of turn it off and you wait. So I've got them both to the same temperature, 202 degrees, which I've confirmed using my ThermaPen, which this is a fantastic device. We'll talk more about this in another episode. Okay, so now what I want to do is I've got my pre-ground coffee here. Okay, I've got my fresh ground coffee here that I'm making in my new OXO grinder that I love. What I like about the OXO is we can set the time of the grind, but we can also set the coarseness of the grind. So I've picked between a medium and a coarse to get just the right grind for the French press process that we're going to use. So the 2 French press units are identical, so we remove that variable. I've measured my coffee precisely at 57 grams of coffee. 57 grams is a 1:14 ratio with an 800 milliliter volume of water. So that gets you the right ratio there. So then what we're going to do is we're going to take these 2 pots. We're going to put the pre-ground over here on the right side. And I'm going to put the freshly ground here on the left side.
What was that water that you poured out of the pots?
Well, I had to preheat the pots because we want to make sure that as I put the coffee in, the hot water in, the pot doesn't suck all the heat away from it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn on my scale and it will zero itself out as it starts up. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour 800 milliliters, which is also equal to 800 grams for you science people, over these grounds. There we go. Great. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour the same amount of water on this. Great. Okay. Went a little bit over. 812. 807 on this one. I don't think 5 grams is going to matter. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my timer for 4 minutes. Actually, I'm going to do 3:30 because I kind of goofed around a little bit there. I'm going to do my initial absorption here at a 4-minute mark, and then I'm going to sort of plunge it and then do it again. Now right away I can notice there's a difference going on. Now look at this. The fresh ground, notice how it has a different type of bloom on the top than this guy over here. Interesting. I'm not sure what that means, but there's definitely something different going on there than over here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cover these up just to make sure I keep the heat in. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. You're probably thinking, well, he did this one first, and then that was sort of absorbing the water while he did this one, but don't worry about it. I got that covered, because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna process this one a few seconds ahead of that one. So don't worry, it's all gonna work out. Okay, now my faithful assistant is gonna hand me a tablespoon.
Measuring or
regular? Nope, a regular one. What I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna use a tablespoon to push the coffee down into the French press after the initial bloom and absorption of the water, right? And the only reason why I'm doing this is because I happen to pick up a high-end coffee book over in Tamworth, and it changed our method here of doing the French press, which we used to just do for 4 minutes. And so now they recommended, no, you do it for 4 minutes, then you sort of push it down and do it for another couple of minutes. So kind of give that a try. So it looks like we've still got 1.5 minutes on a timer. I'm just gonna kind of talk in the meantime. You can fast forward if you want. Let's talk about these teapots over here. So this was our original kettle. It's called an Oventa. Pretty good. It's 1100 watts, so it didn't heat up the coffee super high. You'll notice it has several temperature settings on the top. You can set for different temperatures that work good for steeping tea and whatnot, but I was really looking for exactly 202 degrees. So what I did was, I got this, which is a Brevo, okay? And what I like about this, a couple things. It's got a double chamber. So you see you've got an inside chamber, so I can touch this, it's hardly hot. This one's pretty hot. Now, the other thing is, you'll notice here that I can set the temperature to an exact number, right? So what'll happen is every time I put it on and do a reset, and I start it, look, it goes to 212. Here, come over here with the camera. You'll see that when I started, it goes to 212. But then what I can do is I can hold this down and I could put it exactly where I want at 202. I could also hit this keep warm button. That's kind of nice. I like the keep warm button because it means I could boil water at 202 and the pot will keep it that way until I'm ready to make my coffee. That's not exact, it's not perfect, because what it does is it lets it go down about 10 degrees and then it heats it back up and then down and back up. So it's not perfect, but I guess they do that so it's not constantly going on and off. I see my timer just went off, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna take this lid off here, and you see that bloom of coffee? I'm gonna push that down. Okay. And I'm not gonna plunge it yet though. I'm gonna push it down over here with the pre-ground coffee. Okay, now I'm gonna set my timer for 2 minutes. I goofed around a little bit over there, so let's go with 1 minute and 30. All right. And I'm gonna make sure I let this sit a little bit longer in this pot. I gotta equalize everything, eliminate all the variables. By the way, I'm having a lot of fun with this scale over here, okay? This is a really cool scale. It says perfect portions. It's really nice. What I like about it, it's got the 0 button here. It measures pretty precisely in grams. So what I can do is I can put something on it. Let's say I'm gonna do my coffee grind, okay? I take my, my grinding cup. I can just put it on here. Here, bring the camera over, I'll show you. And I'll just put that cup on there and I hit the 0 button. See that? So now it's zeroed out. So if I was gonna do my beans, I'd say, well, okay, I need to get my 57 grams. So,
what kind of coffee you got there?
I got Monte Alto. We love the Monte Alto. The two that we like are the decaf and the breakfast blend. So the breakfast blend is super nice. That's what we have every day to get the caffeine jolt. And the decaf is for later in the day. So anyway, I can take this and watch this. I'll just pour this in until I get to my 57 grams. And now I'm good. See, now I got my exact measured amount. And, you know, the key is not only to measure the beans, but also to measure the water by weighing the water, so I know I'm getting my perfect ratio. Okay, so my timer went off. I'll turn that off. I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna plunge the ground coffee first, because this is the one that I did first. This one I did second. I'm gonna leave it a little while longer. Okay. The other thing is, when you make French press coffee, you want to drink it right away. You really want to pour it in the cups, because even though I did push those grounds down, they're still kind of sitting in a little bit of water, and you could get something called over-extracting, which is something you don't want to do with coffee. Okay, so that's about the difference in time between that and when I did this pot and that pot. So I'll go ahead and I'll plunge this one. By the way, if you have a bigger pot and you're not going to pour it all right away into the cups, one option is to use something like this. This is a nice little carafe. And nice thing about this is it's double wall vacuum sealed. So I put my coffee in here, and oh, see, that tips back to give me a nice amount of clearance there. It's a vacuum double wall, so it's going to keep the coffee hot for, they say, about 12 hours actually. So you want to pour it into this if you're not going to pour it into cups right away, so it doesn't over extract. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a couple of cups here. Let's see, what cups do I want to use? I want to get something equal. Okay, I'm going to take a couple of these Squam Link cups. I don't think yellow or orange is going to make that much difference in the flavor. So here we're going to put the pre-ground. And over here we're going to put the fresh ground. Interesting that right away what I'm noticing, get this lid turned correctly, is that the pre-ground actually looked a little bit darker. Okay, so pressure's on here. Let's see what we got. Start with the fresh ground. Very good. Now the pre-ground. Wow, totally different flavor. Same exact variety. It was the Monte Alto decaf, but this one, it kind of has a, I'd say it kind of maybe tastes like the inside of the paper bag, really. Yeah, oh, totally blah, I have to say. Completely blah. Let me go back to this. Oh yeah, that's delicious. I'm getting all the coffee flavors in there. When I go back to this, it's like dishwater. Oh, terrible. Even though, actually, this looked darker than this, you would think it would have more flavor. But the fresh ground is definitely making the difference. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand this to my off-camera assistant here, and let's see what she says. Okay, so here's the pre-ground, and let's see what kind of comments we get from the peanut gallery.
Okay.
It's okay. All right, it's okay.
Excuse me.
All right, now let's try it with the fresh ground.
That's a good cup of coffee.
Seriously, you're noticing a difference, right?
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Now, here's an interesting test we could do. I'm curious as to whether or not, when you put cream in your coffee, does it obliterate the difference between a quality cup of coffee and a so-so cup of coffee? I don't know. But I'll tell you what, if we're going to be precise about this, let's go over here, make sure that we do this correctly. I'm going to actually measure out our cream, make sure that we get the right amount. I'll put half a little pot of that in. And I measured up to the same cream line, so I know I'm getting the same amount of cream. Okay, let's give her a stir. This will be interesting. Very good. I'm still noticing a big difference between the two. This I get with that paper bag flavor. This is just coffee. Yep. So, I think that the tests are pretty conclusive here, that fresh grind is the way to go. We like the OXO grinder. Our friend Kevin and Nancy, they went with another brand, I forget which one, that was recommended by Cooks Illustrated. I'm sure it's working out fantastic for them. So anyway, that's it. That's the conclusion of our test. And basically the answer is go fresh ground.